Hey, where exactly are you taking me? Because, like, if you want to kill me, you could just, like, drop me, you know? Hello? Female Michael Chan. Hey, speaking of which, you're, like, kind of hot. I mean, I'm kind of... No, wait, no. We're kind of... And, like, if you're a female me, and you somehow get your legs back from that falling plane over there and reattach yourself, do you think, like, you and I would ever, like, I don't know, do it? Or, like, would that be too weird? Because it would technically be, like, masturbation, except...
Will you just shut up?
Yes, Daddy. Hey, 2021 is coming to a close. And actually, no, it is already closed because if you're listening to this, it is 2022. So happy New Year, but we're recording this in 2021. I am Michael Chan. I am a D-list actor aspiring to be C-list. And my co-host is...
My name is Alex. I'm currently half cut, as it's known. And here's to a better 2022.
So you have alcohol. Well, I have clearly Canadian sparkling water beverage. It's Orchard Peach. It's a classic over here. And if you didn't know already, this is the Hellbound Podcast.
How was your 2021, Michael?
Well, it was the worst year of my life and the best year of my life. How about that?
Mine was a huge mixed bag for many, many reasons that some of you might know, most of you probably don't. But hopefully 2022 is the year we get our lives back.
Yeah, not if the numbers continue the way they do over here.
Same here. It's absolutely the same here.
One of my best friends, he's a lab tech, and he's been recruited to work in a COVID testing lab because they need scientists. They're overwhelmed. The thing is, we are a horror podcast, and you know, we're supposed to be talking about fictional horror, but the non-fictional horror that is our world, that is our lives right now, it's terrifying. You know, sometimes we find that the real world is actually scarier, more terrifying, more horrifying than the fiction that we put out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And in a way it makes me sad because, you know, as a huge fan of horror, it's sad for me to think that some of this stuff pales in comparison about what we're going through. Yeah, sure, we don't have monsters, demons, you know. We do have a lot of death, though. Some crazy people out there hurting people.
Yeah, we do have some demons. They're wearing suits and they're on television.
Fair. I'm talking about like visible, horned fire magic demons. I mean, part of me believes they exist, just not the way we think, but whatever. The point is that until we start truly working together as a society and as a community, I don't think that this horror that we're living in is going to end anytime soon. So my wish for 2022 is that everyone just work together, guys. Start thinking about each other. Stop being selfish. Stop being self-centered. And even if you are, think of it this way. If you help society, in a way, you're helping yourself by protecting others. If everyone's protecting each other, then you are protected. You are safe. You know, your selfishness is only going to get yourself killed in the end. And that is the ultimate horror, is it not?
This is going to be shorter than our regular programming. We are going to talk about our favorites and some of our least favorites of 2021 in the horror movie genre. Let me just find my notes. They're hidden. That's annoying.
You have notes? I don't.
I wrote them about 5.5 minutes ago.
All right, then. Still making me look bad, buddy.
Yeah. So my favorite horror film of the year of 2021 is Blood Red Sky. It's about a woman with a mysterious illness who is forced into action when a group of terrorists attempt to hijack a transatlantic overnight flight. I won't kind of ruin it, but at the beginning you think she has some sort of cancer that's further down the line, and she's wearing a wig and she's taking a lot of pills, and she's taking her child onto this flight and she needs to leave. But unbeknownst to us, until kind of 20 minutes in or so, it's not cancer. It's something very, very genre-based in the horror movie world. That's all I'll say because I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
But there's some fantastic turns in this, and having a horror film contain. I've highlighted this before when I've mentioned this film before. I love a horror movie or a thriller in one location, like Phone Booth or Assault on Precinct 13. It really kind of pushes the filmmakers to get the best out of the cast. And let's see, okay, you're setting in one place. How creative can you be? Like, I watched an episode of The Punisher a few days ago, season 2 on Netflix, and there was pretty much a whole episode set in this police station, and it was a really great episode. Joe Barenthal as The Punisher is fantastic. But this film is set on a moving plane in the sky, and what happens when an evil entity or beast awakens on that or is released, and there's terrorists on it. It's very, very kind of genre heavy and obvious in parts, but I think it's fantastic. And the theme of motherhood and what you would do for your own child is really strong in this film, and that's something I'd recommend to you, Michael, is how they approach that. A mother protecting the child, and there's an evil presence, and what that means to a mother, and how far you would go for your own children. It's really quite. I think it's a brilliant film. So that's my favorite film of 2021, or at least a horror film, Blood Red Sky from Netflix.
Are there snakes on that plane?
No, I think the snakes would be scared of what they see on the plane.
I need snakes, man. I need snakes.
Yeah, the beast or the creature thing is quite interesting. And you've got Graham McTavish, a great actor, Dominic Purcell, who's from the bigger kind of brother from Prison Break.
I love him.
Some other actors I don't know, but I kind of look out for them in the future now. So, yeah,
awesome.
Really, really, really enjoyed that. So, Michael, what's your favorite horror film of 2021?
If we'd consider it horror, it's Ghostbusters Afterlife. It has to be.
Yeah,
because that was so masterfully done as a sequel. It was touching. It was touching while still having a good amount of action and having a well-written story that was meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. I definitely class it as horror or horror fantasy or a mix. It's kind of a blend, so you can't really say no. It's like, Jaws is a horror film, but it's kind of an action thriller, and there's this whole other kind of subgenres kind of mixed in. So yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife. That was quite a close one for me as well, in terms of the way I connected, the way we both connected with that film, and the performances across the board were superb, and the execution of the movie at every stage. From the performances, the cinematography, the directing, and the fan service especially. I think they handle that really, really well. Now,
I do have a second favorite, which is the Nicolas Cage film that we talked about in a previous episode, Willy's Wonderland. It's basically, think of Chuck E. Cheese, except creepier. And Nicolas Cage, who doesn't speak through the entire movie, shows up there for some reason and ends up having to fight all the animatronic characters.
Oh, nice. It's between that film and Psycho Goreman that I'm going to watch tonight. They're the two. One of those two I'm going to watch tonight. So that'll be my last film of the year.
Do you have a second favorite?
Probably would have said Ghostbusters Afterlife, but I'm going to cut this bit and just have a very quick look.
Sometimes I do wish that we have like a visual element, only because I think your wife would be like totally like thirsty over the way you're staring off slightly into the distance, your arm kind of like held to the side and bent, and just in that sexy manly pose. I'm just filling the silence so that you can't cut at all.
I'm gonna have to leave that in there.
Yes, you do now.
I have considered in the past. Let's reflect back on what we've recorded, but I have thought about cutting sections out in the past, but I thought, no, that's too good. Too good.
That's what I'm here for, my man.
I did love The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, because I love the two lead characters. And sometimes when you get connected to lead characters, especially portrayed by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. It's really nice to see that in a series of horror films, and it's kind of different, especially when the stories are very, very different, but the lead two characters kind of help guide you through it.
The Conjuring has never gotten back, for me at least, as good as the first. And you know, like the first terrified me and I wasn't expecting it, but then since then it's turned into, you know, action thriller more than anything.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that came from the original is the spin-off, the Annabelle
ones. Oh dear Lord, I haven't even. Isn't there like Annabelle Origins or something? I haven't even seen that.
Yeah, and then the Nun. I wasn't a fan of the Nun.
I was so on it. I mean, it had some terrifying moments. I find sometimes like when you have the monster makeup and it's done really well, it does actually scare me a little. Because there's just like, it's a mixture between just monster, it's just like kind of like internalized childhood trauma from watching horrible things and just a little bit of uncanny valley, you know?
I'm going to tell you what my least favorite film
is. All right. What is it?
My least favorite is, it's another Netflix film actually. It's Army of the Dead, or Zack Snyder's I don't want to be flipping about Zack Snyder, but this whole bring back Snyder cut, I just feel as though it's kind of out of hand. How, you know what, you can love whatever you like. I thought his Dawn of the Dead, when he was it 2002, 3, something like that. I loved that film. I absolutely fell in love with that film. I thought, wow, this is a great new film. I think it was his first feature film, and that was fantastic. And the filming techniques, the kind of how he worked with actors, just everything across the board, he was really great. And obviously Man of Steel was you either love it or you hate it, in terms of a lot of people love or hate that film, and then hate. And so when it came to Army of the Dead, it's, how do I best describe it, just giving too much, not free reign, but there seems to be no checks and balances with his kind of his filmmaking. Like, I feel more comfortable in a Ridley Scott or a Christopher Nolan set of hands, or maybe a Patty Jenkins. But when I saw this, I thought, who shot this film? Who wrote this? And basically, I thought the whole thing was a mess. Personally, I thought it was a mess, especially the cinematography, because it was so kind of, right, let's get in your face. And it was almost like they're shooting this as though it's Hurt Locker, and even more handheld, and they put the kind of emphasis on the handheld. And then when you come to realize Zack Snyder's actually the DOP credit on this, the cinematographer of the film, that kind of really kind of scared me a little bit even before I saw the film. And across the board, it's a complete mess. It's a complete mess. Dave Bautista, I love Dave Bautista. I think he's actually a very good actor.
He's only good when he has the roles that are written towards his personality. He doesn't know how to act outside of who he is, which is fine. There's no, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
I've seen him try to do more, and you know, he's learning. But at the end of the day, he's one of those actors who he's really good at a very narrow range of stuff, and when you hit it, he's absolutely phenomenal. I don't know. They wasted him in this one.
Yeah, and
just wasted him.
Reported budget of this film's what, north of 180 million, something like that, for a Netflix film. And
I think one of my biggest problems, and it's my second least favorite horror film of this year. I felt like the way Snyder's thinking now is like everything has to be a multi-movie franchise. He can't just make one. So all of the different elements he threw in felt to me like, oh, he wants to make more movies with these elements in it. And, you know, by the end of the film, it was pretty clear they probably want to do more.
Well, there's that
what?
Army of Thieves.
Oh,
it's
no.
on Netflix already, and it's a prequel movie with the German safecracker about breaking into safes. Yeah, Yeah, it's actually available to watch now.
Oh my God. So I was right. He wrote this with that. That's what I hate. I just wish they would stop writing with possibility of expansion in mind. Just write a darn good film.
Yeah,
Make it a one-off.
Army of Thieves, that's what it's called, yeah.
Yeah, just make it a one-off. And if it's super awesome, amazing, you've earned yourself a sequel, then write a sequel. Don't... I hate it. I hate it when they do that.
It used to be a trope of late 90s and 2000 films where you'd have a scene at the end that would shine a light on a possible sequel or possible prequel. But like you're saying, they build these movies and they build them in a way where, yeah, we're going to do it. They're effectively making this a series straight away. Mm-hmm. And the Matrix...
Because that could account for a lot of the problems with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. I really wanted to love this. The trailer was popping. I thought it looked really fun. And I do like...
zombies.
Exactly, yeah. Or robot zombies, apparently.
I love zombies, yeah.
Apparently there's robot zombies in the film.
Oh, there's many different types of zombies. And you're supposed to... It's subtle, and you're supposed to catch it all. I didn't realize that... I mean, I thought of it, but I didn't realize he actually went ahead with it. But yeah, it's because we're getting more, right? So now they're gonna have to explain all this stuff.
Jesus, I want to see some fresh ideas. And speaking of fresh ideas, in 2022, the horror film I really, really want to see. It's only a few weeks away, and that's the new Scream film.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I'm super mega.
I can't wait. I'm I'm a sucker for Scream. I really kind of enjoy all of them. I think Scream 2 is my favorite. I can't wait for that. That's kind of my anticipated film of next year.
Yeah. So my least favorite horror film of this year is Halloween Kills. And it might be a shocker to a lot of people because I know a few people who actually like it, but I thought it was a mess. It was a big disappointment.
I wish you could all see what Michael was blowing into then.
Okay. I brought that up just for that. Anyways, yeah, it was a bit. I don't know if it works on Zoom. Did you hear the echo?
Yeah, was that like a T-Pain thing?
Awesome. So, yeah, it was a huge disappointment for me. It's just, it kind of like I felt like it tripped over itself. It tried so hard to take the character in a different direction, to almost make it like a Frankenstein's monster situation with some social commentary, that it got lost. It got majorly lost. And then just, honestly, I want them to not make another one. Just end. Just stop. It's done. It's done, guys.
The last one's next year.
Wait, what?
It's happening next October.
Oh, come on.
Halloween Ends. It's actually in the pipe already.
Okay. Well, I'm still gonna watch it because I love the Halloween franchise. Is Jamie Lee Curtis in it?
Yeah.
She is, right? Okay. Because I know she executive produced or co-produced or something. This one, which
Probably
pissed me off because I'm like, are you serious? You're part of it, and this is what you guys pump out? Come on.
Yeah.
You can do better. I know you can do better.
I agree to a certain degree with you on that. I think the way they dealt with the social commentary stuff, I think that's his biggest issue. But I thought it had some kind of extra characters in it. The gay couple that live in one of the main houses in the film, I absolutely loved the two guys, the two actors. I thought the performances are great. And that for me was a lot of fun. It was completely ridiculous. The scenes around them and why their house is so significant, because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, that was fun. And even the actor who played, he's a big 80s actor, that played Tommy Wallace, and his obsession with the baseball bat and the way he led the mob, it was just a bit of a mess. And my wife was kind of laughing at that in terms of his character, because it was really kind of cheeseball in many ways.
Like, I'm okay with that couple. I actually like their stuff, but it doesn't account for the massive letdown for me.
Yeah. There's
a difference between watching a movie that just sucks. Like, there are worse movies this year, like worse horror films. But hell, like Army of the Dead is a worse film than Halloween Kills, in my opinion. But what made Halloween Kills my least favorite was the sheer amount of disappointment that I was hit with.
Yeah.
It was too great. I just couldn't.
Did you felt that disappointment with the first one?
No.
In some ways, the disappointment how I felt the first one, there were some elements to that I loved, and the grounded nature of it, I thought there was a lot that I loved. But then I was kind of disappointed with that, so it kind of set me up already to be disappointed with this one.
The first one, I already expected it to be at that level, at the level that it was, because there's no way you can replicate, right, the feel and the sheer, I don't know if I want to say terror that you felt when you watched the original for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's what the right word I'm looking for, but you just can't replicate the feeling you get.
No, absolutely not. No.
And so when they announced the new one, I was like, okay, I'm in it just to have fun, and I did. Yeah, you're right. There are some elements that could have been improved, but it's just this one, the second one. This is so bad for me. I was shocked. I was. It's like a kick to the groin, you know.
My last question for you, Michael, before we wrap up our end of the year show is: what service out of any of the streaming platforms would you recommend for horror fans?
See, I don't actually have Shudder.
I dipped my toe into that in October.
Well, okay, is it worth it?
Yeah, it's very hit and miss, but then you get like a Psycho Gorman or a Spiral. Now, not the Spiral film that's part of Book of Saw, but there's a film called Spiral on Shudder that's absolutely amazing. I think it's fantastic in terms of... Actually, I'm not going to say anything about it. Watch Spiral on Shudder. It's fantastic.
If you want to go with the big ones, Netflix versus Amazon Prime. I don't have Hulu, so I can't speak to that. Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Apple TV. Apple TV is too new.
Yeah.
But between Amazon Prime and Netflix, I say go Netflix. I just remembered there's a 3-movie trilogy, the Fear Street trilogy.
I've not seen that yet, but that's on my list.
Okay, so if we're allowed to put that on our lists, then I would put that as my number 3 top favorite.
Is that part? Is it part 1?
No, 1, 2, and 3 are out.
It's just all out? Okay.
But I consider it like one long movie.
Yeah.
But it's actually 3 movies, and they're phenomenal. I had completely forgotten that was this year. So that is like damn near the top for me. It's like all 3 of my tops are very, very close.
Yeah.
My number 2 and number 3 are, now that I think about it, are even closer. Just something about Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage without talking. That's masterful acting. When you can be yourself, you're in crazy, hyper, whatever Nicolas Cage energy that is, and just like bottle it up into a silent performance, dude. He should get like 15 Oscars just for that.
Yeah, I think a few films like Color Out of Space and Mandy, I love those 2. I think he's on a bit of a roll, and hopefully that Dracula film I mentioned a few weeks ago, I hope that's good. I hope it's not a ridiculous movie, but if it is, Nicolas Cage is surely going to shine in that. I just wanted to say, Michael, it's an absolute pleasure to have started this podcast 10 weeks ago with you, and long may it continue into 2022.
Yeah, it's been a blast. And before we sign off, I just want to say thank you very much to our guest voice in our intro today, which is Katisha Shaw. Also, thank you to my wife, Jessica Flowett-Chan, who was in the previous episode. And you're going to be hearing more of both Jess and Kat in future episodes. And everybody, please subscribe or follow our podcast on whatever podcast platform that you're listening to us to. And if there is a review section of some kind, please give us 5 stars, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, or whatever, and a positive review. Thank you.
Good night, Mike.
Night. Harness the darkness.